that True Green was here, and can I let them on? And I said, yes, of course, why not? They've been here before. And he said, well, do you want them on the permanent list? And I'm like, well, they've been here before. They've been here for years coming on. So I don't know what the call is for, but so yes, let them on. So I went outside to wait for them to talk to them, and a cop was behind them. Don't know really why my invitees or anybody that comes on to do work at Skipper's Row has to be followed by a cop. It's very upsetting, and then within 20 seconds, 30 seconds later, the cop has turned around and is heading back to wherever he was.
I'm recording this. Did you follow the True Green people this morning?
Huh?
That
is correct.
You did?
Yep.
And why did you do that?
I don't have to answer that question, sir.
Sure you do. You're being recorded, Chief. You're being recorded. Why are you having, your officer told me, you guys are having people follow my contractors. Why? My invitees. You're not allowed to do that anymore.
That's bullshit.
He just told me, okay? Jeanette just witnessed it. True Green came on here. First she got a phone call. True Green came on here. True Green came on here.
I'm over this shit.
And he turned around and came back, okay?
The officer
and
didn't
then I
have
asked
a
the officer,
problem with the guy that was driving. The guy said there was no problem. I don't know what the hell your
what do you
problem
mean the guy know? Why is he following him?
Has nothing to do with you.
Why is he following him?
He had no idea he was coming to your house. He pulled him over because
Yes,
he was texting and driving.
Sean did.
Just like you do, what you're doing now.
I'm not texting and driving right now.
This is fucking bullshit. See, you have a great life.
Okay, it's fine. You're right. So what's going on?
I know. So this morning we got a phone call, which is unusual. The True Green people are on the list. They're supposed to come out.
Okay.
So they asked my wife, can they come out? She said, sure. So they pulled up, and the police officers, security was behind them.
Okay.
My wife kind of thought that was strange, and then they drove down. 20 seconds later, they drove back by.
Okay.
And then they called us about this gentleman coming on. But the True Green people are on the list, and the way it works is, they're on the list. You don't get a phone call. We're trying to put a group home on Gibson Island, have been for the last...
Okay, so I'm not worried about that. What happened to where I'm here today?
Right. So, but they're not allowed to harass us or follow us, okay?
You.
Right.
Okay.
Or my invitees, okay? They're not to do that to anybody, because they didn't do it to the other 50 people that came on this morning.
Okay.
So I went up to the gate with my wife to see Chief Sperry, to see if he was there.
Okay.
As we got to the gate, the officer was
So you talked to the chief this morning?
Yeah, I just talked to him a minute ago.
Okay.
So the officer was there, and my wife said, well, that's the officer.
Okay.
And as he's getting out of his car, I said, were you told to follow my contractor? He said, yes, I was.
Okay.
And I said, well, why? It's none of your business.
Well, who told him to follow him?
He didn't. I said, can you tell me why? And it's none of your business. Walked in the thing. So we went over to see the chief. Chief's door was locked. He wasn't there. I called him on a cell. I texted him. Wife had to go to work. Came back through. Sean said the chief's on the golf cart. That's okay. So I was with my son, and so we came back, saw the chief. Chief came down and circled around this guy. So I pulled over so the chief could pull over. I told the chief I was recording. I said, Chief, you guys did this before. You're not allowed to follow our people, our invitees. You can't do it. Okay. He wasn't following him. I said, your officer just told me he was following him. That's bullshit. And I said, well, I'm just telling you what he said. You're not supposed to do it. So, please don't do it. That's not true. He was texting and driving like you are now. I said, I'm standing on the ground. Well, this is all just bullshit. And I said, well, Chief, I said, you can't do this. Okay? You can't. 50 other contractors came on. They didn't get followed by the police, right?
I stopped a dozen on the way in today. So I was out on Mountain Road today.
No, on Mountain Road,
okay.
I understand. Okay. But the problem is, under federal law, if they followed every single person on the island, I have no beef. If they followed half of them, I have no beef.
Okay, I did talk to the officer that is on duty. Mm-hmm. Okay. He said that he observed a traffic violation and stopped him. And according to them, it was a peaceful, pleasant conversation. He advised him verbally, sent him on his way. So that was probably their encounter. So,
Okay, then why would he tell me he followed him?
well, I mean, you have to follow somebody in order to do a traffic stop.
No, he stopped right there. He saw him go by texting and driving. He would have stopped him there. He didn't. He followed him here.
Well,
It's just what the
did he go
chief
up-
is.
Did he just go up and turn around and come back, you said? So maybe he was on the road and had to turn around because they are doing work on the golf course. So, you
No,
know.
he followed him from the gate. Okay, and then the other thing the chief said, because that's why we know it's not true.
Okay.
The chief said he didn't know he was coming to your house. I said, Chief, the gate called.
Oh, did
The
they?
gate absolutely knew. And with the way it used to work, okay, which they weren't supposed to
They
do.
just don't at the gatehouse like you said it's True Green.
True Green.
Okay, so they just don't say, "Hey, I have work to do on the island." On
So you're on a permanent list,
Okay.
right? So you say, True Green, where are you going? Maybe going to 5 people. I'm going to these 5 people, right? So the way it used to work was first they stopped us for those 3 days. Then they said, well, we can't, under the law, Maryland law, we can't stop you from having contractors in your car. But if we had to have someone come on to do maintenance or whatever, they would follow them to here, which they're not, again, allowed to do. They're discriminating against the only people with a group home. So they're not allowed to do that. So if he observed a traffic violation, but what the chief said is not true because the chief said, well, we didn't know it was going to your house, but Sean called to get permission.
Now, but is it normal practice sometimes for them to escort
No.
people to homes on the island to make sure they get there?
No, only ours.
Doesn't-
Only ours.
Are
But
you sure?
and
Because I know of other people that have said they've been followed on the island and escorted to houses.
if someone maybe knew, or if it was someone that they didn't really think was an Amazon delivery,
Okay.
but we've actually had the police cars block Fred Schilling, who's septic provider who's been doing septic here for 40 years, just so he wouldn't turn up the hill. Like,
That's really something that you would have to take up with the association because they're going to oversee all of that. Like, I can't tell the chief over here how to control his officers. That's how I can't tell him, hey, if your guy sees a traffic violation, I'm not going to tell him you can't enforce the law. I mean, anything that happens on here is really up to the chief and his officers. You understand what I'm saying? So I would definitely get in touch with your association. If you have attorneys involved, get your attorneys to kind of do a little bit of communication. Going up there and arguing with the chief, whether it's bitter between the two of you, just avoid that. Let your attorneys do it if you can. You know, that way you don't have to worry about him making accusations against you or vice versa. You understand what I'm saying?
Okay. Well, I mean, again, you guys have come on before, and it's, when we had the female police officer, the sergeant, swerve at my wife and myself while we were walking, drive back by twice within 2 minutes, which we filmed. Police officer Smith came on, told her not drive anymore today. Don't get near the Lucy's. And she said she didn't do it, but again, there were 2 of us. It was videotaped, and, it's like...
You know your rights. Get a dash cam on your vehicle if you want. You can get one that videos while you're driving and stuff like that. You're entitled to do that. You're blocking your camera. I don't want your thumb to...
Oh, okay.
So, you're entitled to video. I mean, you're in common space. The only time you can't really video is obviously people's homes and stuff.
Yeah,
like
you
that.
got, as long as you tell somebody, but...
If you keep having issues, video it, and unless it's a criminal matter to where you feel there's like really imminent danger and stuff like that, him doing a traffic stop and going up here, turning around, coming back. Yeah, is it kind of annoying? Sure. Can we prove otherwise that he was really harassing you? It's tough. You understand?
Well,
what I'm saying?
I appreciate you coming out, and I appreciate
I mean,
you.
if he shows up here and he's sitting at your driveway, well, then now if he's trying to, we get it. Then I could really get into him and say, hey, come on, you got a whole island. You're going to sit right here, try and intimidate him and stuff like that.
Right.
But that's not happening. So if that does start to happen, absolutely call us, and then I will address it a little bit higher. You
Appreciate
obviously document stuff, so just keep documenting.
Yeah.
Go through your attorneys, work through them. If they have to charge certain people, your attorneys are going to know what they have to do. Okay? So,
Well, I appreciate you coming out.
all right.